Nowadays, many new Philippine chapter members are always wondering, how do they start their financial consultation practice? Who do we ask help from? And how do we do it? Good evening, everyone. I am Kuya Ryan Daes, a registered financial consultant, a chartered wealth manager, and a registered estate planner. Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of the RFC Tuesday podcast, Season 9, continuing our international series. Let us thank IARC Philippines, the Philippine chapter of the International Association of Registered Financial Consultants, for putting together this podcast series. The IARC Philippines is an association dedicated to the craft of financial consulting. The association is the sole organization authorized to conduct the RFC conversion courses as well as continuing education for its members in the field of financial consulting. As I mentioned earlier, Season 9 is a continuation of our international series in partnership with the IARFC Home Office. And with the help and superb support of our ever-loving and lovely IARFC Public Relations Officer, Ms. Susan Capa. Tonight, our guest is Mr. Greg Kurinek, RFC CFP. The common thread that runs through Greg Kurinek's life is the joy of serving others. Even better, Greg gets to apply his passion through his work since joining Bentron Financial Group, Inc. back in 2004. He has helped people at or near retirement through investment advising, estate planning, risk management, and watching out for their overall financial well-being. Through his Go to Greg column in the Naperville Patch, he has educated the public through common concerns as well as unique circumstances that have arisen from serving clients on the financial front lines. Greg has also served as an expert source and been quoted in publications ranging from Consumer Affairs and US News, The World Reports, to Newsday and the Wall Street Journal. Back in 2012, after his mother, Jeannie, lost her life to cancer, Greg founded Jeannie's Journey for Hope to help other families battle the disease in its many forms. Since then, the foundation has raised over 100,000 US dollars to help families pay hospital and medical bills, or as income replacement if the disease has resulted in a loss of employment. Dear RFC members and friends, join me in welcoming Greg Kurinek, RFC CFP. Good evening, Greg. Well, our podcast watchers would surely want to know more about you, straight from you, of course. So, can you tell us about how you got started in the financial services sector and how tenant planning was started?
Sure, Ryan. Well, thank you for having me here today. I've always been interested in finance. Starting from when I was very little, I thought I wanted to work as a stock trader or a stockbroker down on the board of trade. And I quickly realized after going away to college that the board of trade and open outcry trading was quickly going away. There was this new invention that had just come out as I was going away to school called the internet. And
Wow.
once the internet came about, we saw that I could see that anybody in the world could do their own stock trading all on their own through Charles Schwab and Ameritrade and E-Trade and all these different platforms, that the need for these stockbrokers was now going electronic. So I quickly realized, well, if I wanted to stay in finance, that I needed to make a pivot. So I started to look into working with individuals and families, and I quickly developed an interest in retirement planning. And that's kind of how pennant planning came. I'm a big baseball fan, as you can probably see in the background behind me. I got a
Yeah.
lot of Chicago Cubs things going
Yeah.
on. And winning the pennant is one of the highest things that a team can do. So I see pennant planning as a way for, okay, you've worked for all these years in your life. You've now made it to retirement. Let's raise that pennant and let's move on to the next chapter, which in baseball is winning the World Series. But in retirement, it's going through this and navigating this new area of life and a new change of a mindset that people have.
Yeah, I agree with that because things are different when you are already consuming the money that you have saved, and there are so many pitfalls that could happen along the way, right? And well, coining from you, it's like life can throw you a curveball anytime. And
Right.
how would you navigate that and hit the ball, right?
Correct, correct. You know, so much of what we do in financial services, and I'm sure it's very similar for you, it's not linear. We have hills and valleys all the time, and things are changing, which is great for people like us because it gives us opportunities to show the value that we can to our clients and different families and individuals to help them in these new phases.
Guys, you have to really listen to Greg because we're just starting to hit the tip of the iceberg here in the Philippines. People are not really great in planning for their retirement. So please do stay engaged. Put questions in the chat box, which we'll answer later on. So please remain listening, I hope, and watching. Well, Greg, your tagline for pennant planning is practical, pragmatic, and proactive. How does that relate dealing with clients? How do you handle your clients based on this tagline, which is very simple, but it's very provocative, actually. It made me think on how I do things as well in my practice.
Yeah, so much of what we do in the industry, we hide behind this jargon, okay? And when we talk about in this financial jargon, whether it be rates of return, standard deviation, all these, technical terms that people, the normal people, just don't understand. So I try to be practical in the advice that I give so that it can relate to them easily. I never want to speak above anybody. I want to speak directly in the words that they can understand. I need to be pragmatic in the way that we approach our planning to make sure that we can keep their expectations in check. Okay. If somebody has, caviar dreams on a beer budget, then it's something that we need to take a look at and say, hey, it's okay to have wishes and wants, but from a pragmatic standpoint, I need to keep you at this baseline in order to achieve the goals and to get your funds to last you throughout your lifetime. So as we go on with that, and I kind of alluded to this before, planning is not linear. So we can see some of the things coming down the pipeline. So I like to be more proactive in the planning that I do for my clients as opposed to reactive. Now we can't predict what's happening in the future. If we could do that, Ryan, you and I would be sitting on a beach just counting the
Correct.
dollars that we had, right? We
Yeah.
wouldn't have to be doing this. But we do see based on trends and tendencies of our clients and markets and things like that, that we can be more proactive in our planning as opposed to being reactive. So those are the three P's, as I like to call them, to stay engaged with my clients, to make sure that, hey, we've always got our eyes on the road ahead of us. We'll see when the curves are coming the best we can because we have a lot of street signs, but we can't see everything. So we have to be uh, proactive in our planning going on in the future.
It's like using a navigational system, right? So sometimes you really do know where you're going, but you don't know what's up ahead. And that's the value of having a financial consultant. It actually brings us back to when we first got our conversion course, right? It always reminds us that our practice should really be centered to our customers, our clients. They have to be the star of the show and they need to understand what we're talking about. Uh, I guess maybe it's not just here. We always have that trap that when we talk about things in during consultation that we tend to use a lot of jargons. But
Mhm.
thank you for reminding us all that we have to keep it simple whenever we talk to our clients, because they're not into finance. They don't always understand what we know. So we have to ground ourselves to their same level so that they can communicate better how we can help them. Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for that reminder, Greg. So now, uh, regarding your involvement with the IARFC USA chapter, why did you want to be on the US chapter board of directors? I know it's something that we actually do for free. We don't get any, I don't know if you have remuneration there or what. What made you decide to volunteer and help out, make the US chapter or contribute your talents to the US chapter?
You know, this industry has given so much to me over the years that I've been in the business. I'm approaching 20 years coming
Wow.
up, and I have been a member of the IARFC from the very beginning. So I finally hit a point in my career where I felt it was time to give back to the industry. So when I saw the opportunity to join the US chapter board, it was my chance to get more involved. The IARFC has meant so much to me over those years, providing me my very first designation when I got into the business, and so all these learning opportunities. I thought of it as a chance to become a member of the board and help grow that for the next generation. You know, one of the big passions that I've had since joining the board is working on their financial planning competition committee and being able to work with some of these young students that are just trying to get into the business now and seeing how bright the future is going to be with these new planners entering the industry. So that is what's drawn me in and what's really kept me as a member of the board.
Wow. So you're really trying to promote the financial planning practice even as early as, well, their college days. So that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Actually, we want that to happen here, but we hope that we can work with you on how we can bring this up the ground. That's great news, and that's something exciting that I think we can easily implement here in the Philippines. I hope we can work on that together with
for
our
sure.
president, Miss Grace Escobar. We would want to collaborate with you on that. So, well, talking about that, aside from working with young folks on how to make a good financial plan, I I learned that you recently had or were the inspiration for developing the mastermind groups, which is the topic of our discussion today. What exactly is a mastermind group? How does it work? How does it help professionals like us?
So much of what we do as business owners kind of makes us feel like we're on an island by ourselves sometimes. That sure, we have the people in our office that we work together with, but sometimes it's always nice to have, another person to bounce ideas or have discussions or, talk about the challenges that we have. So I saw the opportunity by having so many advisors and producers together as a way to create groups of of professionals to work together through their challenges that they encounter on a day-to-day basis. So I've been a part of masterminds in the past and found them so useful for so many different areas that, I thought it was time to bring more of that to the IARFC as another way to add value to our members so that if they wanted to join a group, if they wanted to participate in hook up with like-minded individuals, that we could help facilitate that and put that together for them.
So this mastermind group, it's not limited to people in the financial services industry.
Well, the ones through the IARC is through for people in the industry, but overall as a program, no, it does a mastermind does not have to be limited to just financial services. You could have a group of business owners that only contains one financial service, and you could have,
Hmm.
a construction company or a publisher or something like that, where again, you're experiencing similar challenges, or you're just giving somebody an opportunity to bounce a challenge or a difficulty or an idea that they might have off of a third party that isn't just going to tell them the answer that they want to hear. We the part of the mastermind is to challenge each other to be better professionals as a whole.
So, well, I guess it's also a form of networking for professionals and individuals. So, does it help in propagating your business or perhaps promoting your business to other members who are not part of your industry or our industry?
Yeah, it could help. It could help even grow your business if you're in a mastermind group with people that are all part of financial services. Because maybe there's one advisor that only works with business owners, and there's another advisor that only works with people in retirement. Well, if that retirement planner came across a business owner that was, 10 or 20 years from retirement, they might not be a good fit for their practice, but they could easily refer them to a member of their mastermind group who they are a fit for.
Oh,
Or if you're working with outside professionals that aren't members of financial services, then of course you're creating a synergy or a referral program amongst each other to help grow each other's business, to make each other successful.
wow, that's exciting. I guess that's another thing that we can talk about after the interview moving forward.
Sure.
But anyways, how did you start them and how do you participate in the mastermind group? Do you participate in all of them as the moderator? Who runs the group? Do you have control over it? Are you the only one who does it?
Well, me and my cohort, Vicky, who is the US chapter liaison, her and I are the ones that have kind of masterminded the mastermind groups.
Wow.
The answer is no, I cannot be a member of each and every group. I think at the present time we have 9 or 10 different groups, so that would be a large time commitment for either of us to do. So
Yeah, you
what we
wouldn't be
did
able.
was, yeah, ask for volunteers to say, and we created a survey to try and group these groups together with like-minded individuals the best that we could. And then we said, you are all professionals, you set your times on how you want this to meet, and we kind of left it at that. Now we'll do periodic check-ins with them, and we'll see, how things are moving along. But it is really up to each individual group to facilitate itself. So when we put these groups together, we wanted to keep them smaller in size, but large enough where we had some diversity. So groups usually range between like 7 and 10 individuals is what we tried to keep them to. So they were large enough that, hey, if 1 or 2 people couldn't make a meeting, the whole group didn't fold. But you still got enough diversity in there as well.
Oh, that sounds great because it seems like it's a good follow through with what the things that we learned from IARC together with all of the continuing education that we have to attend. Sometimes you're right, you need to talk to someone, maybe not like minded, just to challenge whatever idea that you have learned and how you implement it. So this is very valuable information that perhaps could help the members of our chapter here even learn further how to better do their practice.
Well, and Ryan, now that ever since we had the COVID crisis back in 2020, it has only made having these groups even easier because of the format that we're using right now. Everything can
Yeah.
be virtual if we choose.
Yes.
Before, to try and arrange an old school conference call
Correct.
or to try to get all those people together in person was nearly impossible. But
Yes.
now that we could all just log on to a video chat for, a half hour or an hour at a time, it becomes easier for people to make room on their
Yeah.
calendar to do that.
Yeah. It's so easy. Well, it will be easier to really make time for it because you don't have to worry about traffic, parking and all, and venues that you will have to pay. So it
Right,
makes it more cost efficient for professionals. It doesn't
right.
waste
And
anybody's time, right?
you can do it from anywhere. In the mastermind I'm a part of, I had one of our participants show up. He was in Sweden on a summer vacation, but still joined in.
Yeah,
So
that's
anybody can do it from anywhere.
correct. Correct. You just really need to make time for it because you really need to commit for it because it's for your personal professional growth, right?
Correct.
Are the how about the topics? Are the topics that you discuss in mastermind just geared towards one topic, or can it be more of a general discussion group, or perhaps whatever works for the group?
You know, when the groups are first starting out, I really encourage them to set some sort of an agenda so to keep themselves on track to help facilitate the conversation. But as you've been together for a while and you've covered a lot of the topics, they tend to get more general, where somebody would bring a specific challenge that they might be experiencing right at that moment, and then the whole group could dive in and do a much deeper dive on that. But to get started, coming up with a general agenda on how you want to approach it, so we don't just get in there and start staring at each other and say, hey, what do you want to talk about?
So I guess it would really be a very dynamic thing that changes over time, depending on the individual experiences of each member. Then that's how you practically learn from each other because everybody would have a different take on the situation, right? And I
Hmm.
guess that's the value that you put in being a member of Mastermind. So that's very great. Actually, it
Yeah.
sounds exciting. Okay, so as many of us are independent, we can actually work alone, right? But what value does being part of a mastermind group connectivity provide? If, uh, for example, we make one here in the Philippines, what's the main selling point? What's the unique selling proposition, perhaps that would help us understand how it will help us in moving forward our practice?
You took the words that I would use by joining a mastermind. You said one of the battles that we have as practitioners and being independent is that we're alone. If you're part of a mastermind, you're never alone. You have five or six or seven different people that you can go to with any problem that you have, whether it be individual to those people or as a group during the mastermind setting. Because that's how I know I'm in a good mastermind or it's successful, where I know I could pick up the phone and call one of those people at any time and talk to them about something that I'm navigating at the time, both positive or negative. Because I think it's just as important in masterminds to share your wins that you have too, not just the problems we encounter, but have somebody there to pat you on the back to say, "Hey, good
Yeah.
job! You're doing a great job."
So it's really more of a peer group that helps you out, and it's really like an iron sharpens iron thing, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Great. So basically, you practically grow together with a group.
Correct. Right? What's the old saying? And I'm usually butcher these old sayings, but a rising tide lifts all ships.
Mm.
If we're all
Correct.
growing
Correct.
together, we're all gonna help each other out and lift each other up.
Fantastic. Filipinos would love that. Hopefully, work out something that we can do here in the Philippines aside from the financial plan competition. Okay, so talking about it being practiced perhaps here or any other chapters in the world of the IARFC, do you think uh, the concept of mastermind can easily be adapted anywhere in the world?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I could take credit to say that this is something I created. Masterminds have been around for, I would say, hundreds of years. I'm sure the cavemen we used to get together and talk about what's the best way to get an antelope. Okay. You know, group talk, group thinking has always been around. We just like to put this, mastermind title on it now for
Yeah,
business purposes.
yeah. It's like a beer drinking group, right?
Yeah, right? Hey, I'm
But
not
it's
opposed to getting
organized. But
together.
it's organized, of course. We're not
Of
just talking
course.
about drinking. It's eh, you got it right. During the time of cavemen, they would go around the fire and talk about their things that perhaps their game, how they caught this antelope or whatever animal it is, or perhaps how they got their wives, right?
You're right.
They're so funny. Anyways, so culturally culturally speaking, the Philippines is a very social country. That's why so many uh, multi-level marketing groups succeed here because we like networking here. We like relating with other people. So I know how successful Mastermind was when virtual meetings became uh, basically a mainstream type of service, right? So, but personal meetings, do they still exist there? Like we love doing that here because it's a good time to really pause and relax because there is always a tendency when you do online meetings that you don't concentrate. Although,
Mm,
of course, that goes for debate because that would really depend on the person. But sometimes when it means pouring in money or getting money because of an engagement and attending a meeting, people would normally sacrifice a meeting for growth over getting more income. So,
hmm
does it work better if we meet personally, or how do you do things? How do you decide if it's an online meeting or if it's a face-to-face meeting? I guess that's the
I
question.
I agree with you 100% that um, it's very easy to get distracted on a video meeting. It's very easy to, oh, we're having a conversation and pick up your phone and you're checking emails and things like that. So, what I would suggest is some sort of hybrid. Okay. So, if you're part of a mastermind that's going to meet monthly, maybe 2 times out of the year, 3 times out of the year, you get together in person, and the other nine, you do virtual settings, to try to get together, every month in person, especially if you're spread out amongst the country, becomes very difficult.
Yes.
But if you can do some sort of hybrid, I think that'll have an impact. I'm flying across country to go see a member of my mastermind next week in Hartford,
Wow.
Connecticut. Yeah. But it's important because I want to learn from him. He's got something to show me, so I'm willing to spend the money, take 3 days from my practice to go learn and grow and bring it back here and say, okay, this is how I can do it now.
Wow. So you really spend your personal finance on or your own money to do this. So the
Hmm
the group doesn't pay for anything. It's all on your personal expense.
Correct.
Wow. So it's really an investment. So that's
It
good.
is.
Well, it's the first thing that we were taught here in the Philippines when the IARFC conversion course was put in here or brought here. The first thing one of our first lecturers said was, you need to learn that in real life, in financial consultation, there's no such thing as free lunch. So we spend everything, right? So I guess it's true even there. Well, anyway,
Absolutely it is.
if it will bring value to your practice, why not? That's always the case. If you money spent investing on yourself and your practice is always money best utilized, right? Because it brings back more income later on and happier customers, hopefully.
Right.
Okay, I guess we're going towards the last question. So, how would you advise someone to start a mastermind group? I guess it's something that I really wanted to ask since the beginning because it sounds so interesting. And I guess it's also a good way to level up our practice here and also bring up those who are just trying to come in for the first time. So at least
hmm
us who have been practicing for a while can help them go up. And then us who we perceive to be longer in the practice learn something new from them because they would be a different generation. How do we do that? How do we start with all of these different generations coming together? How do we make it melt together so that we can have a good mastermind group here?
The easy way, the Nike slogan, just do it. Okay. Progress, not perfection, meaning the best way to start is to start. Start talking about masterminds start to educate people what is a mastermind and why you personally believe that it would be useful for them in their practice, because people want to know what's in it for them, not what's in it for you, what's in it for them. So what can you do? So share the idea of it, share the concept. When people find out that there's an opportunity to share ideas and thoughts and build business building practices, they usually get excited about that. Okay. Now, don't get deterred. The first mastermind group that you join or the first mastermind group that you start is not going to be your last. Okay. Things change. People's careers change. People's lives change. Okay. I've been fortunate enough to be in a couple long running ones, but I've also been in and out in one of them where they might only last 6 months or a year just because people's interests fall off. Maybe you outgrow the group, people get out of the business, but it doesn't mean you stop doing it. It doesn't mean that it wasn't appropriate. As long as you are still gaining some information and knowledge from your group, then it's worth continuing. Okay. So just start it. Find a group of people that you think would fit well and just start doing it. Okay. Start organizing, start simple.
Great. So we can just start one, but is there an accreditation required? Do we need to register somewhere? What
You
kind of
don't have
process
to
do we
do
go through?
anything.
So
You could
it's
host it on a Zoom. You could host it in your basement. You could host it wherever you want, in a coffee house, in a restaurant. You could do however you want.
it's more of like an informal discussion group wherein there's really no big organization that we will have to join into. So we don't need to have it documented or something, or we just do it.
No. So, Ryan, the way that we started it with the US chapter is I came up with the idea. We talked about it in one of our board meetings. I volunteered to spearhead it. So, what we did is we reached out to all the members in the US chapter and sent them an email and said, this is what we're thinking. Okay. We would like to start putting these groups together. And we listed 5 or 6 different areas of focus that we were going to put together. And the first thing we did was ask anybody that was interested to raise their hand, reply to the email, and say,
Mhm.
yes, I am interested. And we probably got 40 responses from the email.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
After we got the interest, we knew the proof of concept was there. So we got 40 people to raise their hand and say, I'm interested. We created a survey and I had all 40 people go through and answer questions on the survey. And that survey was used to help create groups, smaller, more manageable groups of
Okay.
like minded individuals that then we started parsing them off into about, 8 or 9 different groups at this point to uh, create their own mastermind. So that's how we started. But you don't have to do it in that at that large of scale. Start with one for yourself as a proof of concept. Ask, 7 or 8 different people if they're interested in joining and start there. And then once you get the traction there, then you can expand it to others as well.
So it's really that scalable. So you don't have to start in a grandiose manner, something that's so elaborate. Thank you for reminding us that to keep it simple again, and that
Right?
you just have to do it. In anything, actually, you're right. Sometimes if you bog yourself down with all of the details, you can never get it off the ground. You
Right?
just really have to do it.
Just do it.
Thank you, Nike. Anyways, thank you so much for your valuable sharing, Greg, and for being so generous with your time. We learned a lot about how we could start and level up our practice through Mastermind. On my own side, my take is it's really important that you have someone that you can bounce ideas with, someone who can hear you out if you're encountering concerns with your practice, or perhaps if you have a bright idea that would help your customers or your clients. It's good that you bring it to someone and hear their thoughts. I guess that's the value of being with among your peers. Whenever you have this great or even uh, odd ideas that could perhaps help you in your practice, or things that you have experienced while helping out a client. So again, these things have been truly valuable, Greg. Thank you again for your time. We also appreciate the excellent efforts of Susan Kappa, IARFC Public Relations Officer, for ensuring the success of this international series. I would just like to remind everyone to renew your membership. Active members are now going to receive free continuing education seminars and access to the official IARFC website, which is www.iarfc.org, where each member of good standing is recognized when searched by clients and prospects alike. Please do be reminded that we can only use the RFC designation if we are members of good standing. That's if you pay your membership dues. For your membership renewal information, please do contact our new president, Ms. Grace Escobar at g.escobar@iarfc.org, or contact her through 0917-157-7523. So contact IARC Philippines now for your membership renewals. We also want to share with all of you, of course, that the IARFC as a global association will be holding the Practice Building Summit entitled Building Your Practice for Success on September 18 and 19 US time, of course, for free. We will be posting the link to register and attend this virtual summit, which is available to the public. Our podcast episodes are shown every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. That is why it is very important to follow us on Facebook. Episodes are pre-recorded and are broadcasted through Facebook Live. On behalf of our executive producer, Ms. Grace De Vera Escobar, this is the RFC Tuesday podcast saying,
It's better to be in the know than to be the last to know.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good evening, and do please stay safe. Good night.